There's a question that's been buzzing around boardrooms, labs, and late night brainstorms lately. Is AI about to steal our jobs or make our lives unimaginably better?
It takes 8 years and close to $7 billion to come up with one drug. My first project with Genpact was with a very popular cancer research institute as well as hospital in India to run their non-clinical processes, how to ensure efficiency of the billing process. Imagine a cancer patient with his family coming for a chemo. After the treatment, they have to wait for 6 to 8 hours just to get the bill process to complete for
Yes.
them to pay through insurance or otherwise. As much as it's administrative hassle, but what that family goes through that time, what that patient who has just come out of a chemo session, that was the eye opener time for me.
But let me tell you, today we are not here to fuel the fear. We are here to open the door to a much more exciting conversation. One where AI doesn't just help us, it works alongside us, like a tireless, brilliant colleague. From revolutionizing drug discovery to reshaping how businesses think, act, and deliver value. This new era of agentic AI is not just arriving, it's already changing the game.
Now imagine 130,000 people of Genpack globally spread, running operations, generating insights, transacting for them, running their HR, workforce management. For the R&D, sales and marketing, that's our strength.
And who better to break it all down with us than someone who's right at the center of it all? Joining me today from Genpact, Aditya Gairola, Senior Partner Data Tech AI, a master at connecting the dots between technology and business impact. For those who might not know Genpact beyond the brand, what exactly does Genpact do in life sciences sector? And where do you believe you are creating the most impact?
Within the industry, if we look at big pharma, mid-segment, med devices, the retailer, the distributors, we have over 60 clients in our portfolio. We are 130,000 strong workforce, predominantly focusing data, technology, artificial intelligence, insights and analytics, intelligent automation.
Expect bold ideas, expect real world stories, and expect to rethink what you thought you knew about the future of life sciences. Aditya, welcome to Drug Diaries. Before we jump into today's episode, I just want to say something from the heart. Over 93% of the people who watch this podcast regularly haven't subscribed. And listen, I get it. Life is busy. You click, you watch, you move on. But if you've ever felt like this show brings you value, if it has made you think, sparked a new idea, introduced you to something inspiring, then I have a small favor to ask. Please hit that subscribe button. It might not seem like much, but to me, it means everything. This podcast has always been a labor of love. No sponsors, no script, just honest conversations with people trying to make a difference in the world of healthcare. And your support, your one click, helps me keep doing that. It helps more people discover these voices. It helps this community grow. So if you're here, if you believe in this, please consider subscribing. Thank you for being here. Now let's get into the episode. There's a question that's been buzzing around boardrooms, labs, and late night brainstorms lately. Is AI about to steal our jobs or make our lives unimaginably better? But let me tell you, today we are not here to fuel the fear. We are here to open the door to a much more exciting conversation. One where AI doesn't just help us, it works alongside us, like a tireless, brilliant colleague. From revolutionizing drug discovery to reshaping how businesses think, act, and deliver value. This new era of agentic AI is not just arriving, it's already changing the game. And who better to break it all down with us than someone who's right at the center of it all? Joining me today from Genpact, Aaditya Gairola, Senior Partner Data Tech AI, a master at connecting the dots between technology and business impact. We are going deep into how advanced technologies, data, and AI are not just tweaking business operations, they are redefining them. From drug discovery all the way to patient's experience at the end of the journey. Expect bold ideas, expect real world stories, and expect to rethink what you thought you knew about the future of life sciences. Aditya, welcome to Drug Diaries.
Thank you very much, Kaushik. It's my pleasure to be part of this, emerging podcast of yours. I'm an avid listener and I've enjoyed many of your previous podcast interviews that you have done, and it's my pleasure to be here today.
That's very kind of you, Aditya, and it's a real pleasure and an honor to have you in Drug Diaries today. And Aditya, before we dive into tech, the trends and the future of AI in life sciences, I want to bring it back to something more personal. Can you share a bit about your journey, what brought you into this space, and what your role at Genpact looks like today?
Most certainly, I'm happy to share a bit about myself. Born and brought up in Delhi. My dad was a government officer with Reserve Bank of India, mom a homemaker, and an elder sister. I think, like any other school pass out, college pass out guy, about 20, 25 years back, I wouldn't say that I was very clear and had a direction of what I want to do. However, after finishing my college from Delhi University, contact center industry was booming and GE brought it to the fore, and then multiple other organizations followed suit. So I joined a call center. I thought I'll have fun for a few months, make some pocket money, think about what I want to do, maybe prepare for MBA. A year later, surprise, surprise, I ended up for almost 8 years in that organization, Converges, now known as Concentrix. And what caught my attention, what interested me the most was service industry was adopting Lean and Six Sigma at that time, and I was very fortunate to get some really good coaches and mentors, and I got myself black belt certified from the organization, one part of the first batch of the organization. Great experience in multiple industries, banking, telecom, and otherwise. Cut to then, I joined a startup, well, a near startup, a fast growing data organization in the telecom sector in India, Future Infotech, for a couple of years, and then followed by Huawei Technologies, Chinese conglomerate, and had a fantastic time. However, I don't know if you recall, but in 2012, Indian telecom industry was going through a very turbulent period, so much so that the telecom minister at the time was behind bars for a
Oh, yes.
while for taking bribes for awarding spectrums 3G in the 3G auction. So I was looking for a change. I had a few options, but what interested me with Genpact was two-pronged. Genpact was setting up their re-engineering team, which later on went on to become advisory side of the business that we have. So I joined that team, and that was the first adventure in the life science and healthcare industry for me. My first project with Genpact was with a very popular cancer research institute as well as hospital in India to run their non-clinical processes, how to ensure efficiency of the billing process. Imagine a cancer patient with his family coming for a chemo. After the treatment, they have to wait for 6 to 8 hours just to get, the bill process to complete for
Yes.
them to pay through insurance or otherwise. As much as it's administrative hassle, but what that family goes through that time, what that patient who has just come out of a chemo session, that was the eye opener time for me, that something needs to change. And similarly, the bed capacity, the more the bed is going to be available, more patients can be served. And that's where my mentality of customer service, Lean and Six Sigma, the digital technologies prompted me to use that thinking to ensure what can technology do here? What can intelligent data do here to make these processes smart? So that's when I got into the life science and healthcare industry, have had and moved to London in 2013, predominantly looking at the consumer goods, retail, life science and healthcare clients. Last, I would say 7 to 8 years, I've been very, very focused on in the life science and healthcare industry and if I look at Genpact, we are in such a unique place. We are in such a unique place, and I feel blessed about it. We are right in the center of this entire life science and healthcare ecosystem. So our clients include the biotechs, the big pharmas, the small pharmas, now mid-sized pharmas, the medtech companies, the medtech device companies. We have the retailers, the pharmacies as our clients. We have the hospitals. We have the insurers and the distributors. So you are managing the entire ecosystem within the healthcare, which gives us a position to be very responsible, to do the right thing, to do the efficient thing, to ensure that drugs are We are helping our big pharmas to get their drugs getting launched in time, medical reps to be able to hold effective conversations with the healthcare professionals, and also managing the entire patient journey throughout this
Right.
process. Long introduction, but I hope
Oh,
it gives you a flavor.
absolutely. And that's a very eventful and exciting journey. You've had a lot of diverse experiences, and what a paradigm shift from telecoms to life sciences and technology. I think that's incredibly inspiring. Thanks for walking us through your background. And Aditya, the life sciences industry is at a crossroads, one where science, data, and purpose all meet. And with AI accelerating discovery, regulation evolving fast, and patients expecting more, it's an exciting time. What is it that excites you most about working in life sciences right now? And what's keeping you curious, challenged, and optimistic?
It's a brilliant question. And look, I'm going to share my personal thoughts. So it's more me, less Genpact or less any other influence.
Sure.
If and I have meticulously read about this industry and the evolution for a while now. Life science industry was always a very profitable, and the prospect was very high. It's reflected in, you look at the news, you look at their performances. So they did not focus. They It was a high margin, business, corporate house.
Yes.
Whilst a lot of responsible discoveries were happening and making patients feel better, have a good life, but then it was a high margin work. Therefore, they were laggards when it came to technology adoption. I think at best, if they had done something, was to have an ERP, to have a basic, strong and responsible system in place, compliant system in place, but not really doing cutting edge technology adoption because, hey, we are a highly regulated industry. We can't share things. We can't accept the data from outside. And therefore, here we are. Gradually, I wouldn't say COVID, but even prior, maybe few years prior to that, when the patent cliff used to impact these big organizations, they started to feel the pinch. Oh my God, overnight, my share price is dropping. My board is questioning my strategy. Maybe I have left the acquisitive nature of the industry, a little late. So let's buy what's available. And they started to look for a high number of acquisitions. The M&A market was very, very active, I would say 10 to 15 years back. As a result, they bought a lot of companies, but were finding it really difficult to integrate them because they were running on different technology, had different data platforms, different standards. I think that's when the entire thinking around, okay, now we need a stable platform which we are able to scale up and down at speed using a strong data foundation. And while
Right.
they were thinking about it, COVID came and everything which was on prem. I mean, it was, I won't say unheard of, but it was not a common practice for pharma people to work from home very often. I mean, as much as I'll go as far as saying that it was in fact a very corporate culture of tie and suits and
Yes.
every day coming to office, and COVID changed it for everyone. And then immediately everyone started on their cloud journeys, how to bring the on-prem system to the cloud so that people sitting in their homes are able to securely still access and do the job that they can do. So cut to, that's I think a big event that has changed the adoption rate of technology by the
Right.
pharma industry. And I'm very proud to say that artificial intelligence, which is going to be the main topic, we'll be probably talking a lot about it. Whilst it has been there for a very long time in the industry, but in 2024, two Nobel Prizes were awarded for the work in this industry using artificial intelligence. I think there was a physics and a chemistry one. Physics was John Hopfield and Jeff Hinton for their foundational discoveries and interventions in the neural network space. And the chemistry one was Dave Baker for computational protein designs. I mean, I won't be able to get into details of them. I'm not a biotech guy, but that's a very proud moment that
Yeah.
technology has now met the drug discovery as well as the way everyone is thinking about in the pharma industry. And look, this is only a drugs or a R&D specific example. Today, when we'll talk throughout the day, how finance in a life science company
Yes.
are thinking about AI, how regulatory teams are thinking about AI, how customer service team is thinking about AI. It's mind blowing. It is mind blowing.
Yes, indeed. Indeed. Thanks for sharing those insights. Aditya, if I'm not wrong, Genpact works with 8 out of the top 10 global pharma companies, helping transform their operations with AI, analytics, and digital tools. But transformation isn't just about tech, it's about solving real human problems at scale.
Yeah.
For those who might not know Genpact beyond the brand, what exactly does Genpact do in life sciences sector? And where do you believe you are creating the most impact?
Fantastic question. I mean, just by virtue of background, Genpact was a captive back office formed in mid to late 90s in India by General Electric, the time of Jack Welch. Of course, over the next 6 to 7 years, they adopted Lean and Six Sigma, made it a platform where it's easy for General Electric GE to grow businesses by leveraging this platform. So if they are doing an acquisition and there is any finance work, there is any customer service work, there is any data interpretation work, etc., it's coming to India in this back office function so that the core team are focusing on their core jobs. They're focusing on selling, they're focusing on maintaining client relationships, they are focusing on doing research and development, whilst this team is doing the heavy lifting for all the transactional work. Outside of 2005, when GE decided, okay, this actually can be a business. Why do we keep it to ourselves? Let's make it let's make it from a cost center to a profit center. So they offered the services to other customers. If we look at big pharma, mid segment, med devices, the retailers, the distributors, we have over 60 clients in our portfolio from the life science industry.
Wow.
And another 30 to 35 clients in the healthcare side as well. We are 130,000 strong workforce, predominantly focusing not only on the transactional side, that's 50% of our business out of the nearly 5 billion revenue that we make, but the other 50% is data, technology, artificial intelligence, insights and analytics, intelligent automations, cybersecurity, etc., etc. So, long story short, yes, you are right. We are very deep into life science. They were the first clients we acquired, after GE made it open service to be availed. And today we are very proud that it's one of the largest industry verticals out of 6 verticals that we have. Industry verticals, it's one of the largest within Genpact.
That's amazing. And how Genpact has evolved over the course of last few decades is just exemplary.
In the beginning of the year, the world was just starting to know about agentic, but we had our first product rolled out, and we demonstrated it to the world's several leaders, some of our clients, some of our prospective clients, the analysts, the other partners of ours in Jaipur during our annual event focus. So yeah, I'm very pleased and feel very proud to be part of Genpact, because one thing I have seen in my 13 years with the organization is the fast changing pace. We are very curious. We learn fast, adopt fast. We are working at a warp speed right now. And yes, it's a very disruptive time for advisory, data, tech industry. But guess what? We are using it as an opportunity to make a difference.
Aditya, one of the trends that we are seeing today in life sciences is that the pharmaceutical and biotech industries are under tremendous pressure like never before, whether it's rising R&D costs or increasingly complex regulations or the race to deliver more personalized treatments. What are the big real-world challenges you are helping your clients solve today?
The pattern has changed, over a period of time. It may have been an issue during COVID about, all of a sudden I don't have staff to attend to my. If I look at the pattern, I think it is evolving, and it is evolving. It's changing very fast. From get me into cloud, during COVID, or I have a supply chain problem because the Shanghai port has shut down. My drugs have left my manufacturing plant somewhere in Europe. I don't know where it is now. From that type of problem, The emerging one is, I really want to adopt artificial intelligence, but I don't know where to start. I have tons of data, but I don't know how good quality is this data to be able to generate meaningful insight. So that's one type of problem that we are seeing. The second type is my ERP provider, with whom I have been for 2 or 3 decades, they have put a knife, on my neck that they are going to switch off unless I upgrade to a more modern version before 2030. And for a company of my size, I'll take at least 4 to 5 years to get there. So how can you guys are the end users, Genpack, of my ERP and my applications. How can you help me here to make the decision on what's right for me, which ERP, which modules, and how to implement it? So that's a second type of problem statement we are hearing very often. I think the third one, which now just looking at the current market environment, a lot of large pharmas, their drugs, their IP, their patents are coming to their end of life, which means that it'll become very easy for a competitor or a small pharma to use that IP and make bulk medicine. Just like paracetamol, anyone can make a paracetamol now, but I'm sure there was a time when it was a premium medicine. So like that, there are a lot of such medicines which are coming end of their patent life. Therefore, what it has started to do in the industry is a lot of acquisition. So all these small organizations, the startups in biotech, if they have a very strong product, no matter it's already out in the market, even in the discovery, in the initial trial phases, the big pharmas are buying them, or they are to focus their attention only on the pharma side of the business. So they are selling off their consumer arm of the business. So there is a lot of merger, acquisition, divestiture type of activity happening. Therefore, these company wants an independent. If they are carving out a business, they need to be independent. So how will they close their financial books? How will they report if it's a listed company? How will they report their P&L as well as the financial books to the auditors? Employee experience, technology setup, data insight. So that's the third, I would say, pattern or third type of problem statements the clients are coming to us with. Fourth really is that, look, we probably could have done a lot. We haven't, but can you help us in building a digital backbone, a strong, intelligent, automated running business so that we are able to do better with our working capital, because cash is king these days. You have cash, you can make a lot of decisions. So my working capital, can I do more with less people, or is there a different model that I can adopt? The global capability centers or global business services to have enterprise grade capabilities like Insights Hub, innovation, COEs, etc. So yeah, that's the other one. So broadly speaking, data. What do I do with my data? I have lots of data. I don't know how good this data is. What can I do with it? Technology. I need to upgrade my ERP, my app. I have in finance, I have 1,000 applications. I think I only need 20. Can you make it happen? Can you rationalize? So working capital, merger and acquisition, and artificial intelligence. What do I need to do to become artificial intelligent led organization?
Right. And in a space full of global consultancies and solution providers, standing out isn't easy, but it's essential. What is it that truly sets Genpact apart from other players in digital transformation space? Is it your people, your platform, your approach, or something else entirely?
Using Lean and Six Sigma, we made it how to do it efficiently, how to keep customer at the heart of everything that we do, and able to generate value back. Having said that, now imagine 130,000 people of Genpact globally spread, running operations, generating insights, transacting for them in finance and accounting, in customer service, running their HR, workforce management, technology, for the R&D, sales and marketing, commercial operations, supply chain, procurement, finance in a life science company.
Yes.
That's our strength. We bring the operational mindset to the strategy that they have, how to bring it to life. We have seen what will work, what processes need to be created in order to support the growth of the business. So that's the mentality we bring. We bring intricate knowledge of processes, the data, and the end user technology or application insight to the fore when it comes to designing new technologies, designing new operating models for our clients, and then executing, implementing them, which is something. And we are very, very clear, I think, as Genpact, we don't want to play in a field where we won't be number one. For example, it is not our desire to be the number one strategy consulting firm. It is not our desire to be the number one system integration partner of the world. That's not our desire. We are very clear. Value adding, design to operationalize. That's the journey we will bring our client. We commit our skin in the game through various commercial models by co-investing, and we bring the latest technology, the latest data insights, which the industry has to offer.
Right. That's very well put and very well explained. And AI in life sciences is no longer a buzzword. It's a business imperative. And I was reading somewhere, according to McKinsey, AI could unlock up to 100 billion annually across pharma and medtech by optimizing R&D, manufacturing, and commercial operations. But this isn't just about cost savings. It's about reshaping how we discover, develop, and deliver treatments to patients. So if we were to talk about transformation, how are AI, data, and automation actually changing the game across life sciences value chain?
Let's start from the beginning then. And this is purely coming from a place where I study the life science industry, not just ourselves, but the competition and the startups. So just indulge with me as I speak.
Sure.
Let's start from research and development, the drug discovery side. Artificial intelligence has become synonym to R&D these days. For a large biopharma to give access of years and years of research papers, failed, past, in progress, doesn't matter, but giving that access to an open AI to bring a very specific large language model for them, so that for the future discoveries that they run, they don't have to fail 10 times to come up, or maybe 100 times, or maybe 1000 times to come up with that final solution, because OpenAI, or through generative AI, through artificial intelligence, they are able to study the patterns. They are able to analyze what has passed in the past and what has failed in the past, and looking at the various permutations and combinations. When now you select your sample to proceed, it can upfront tell you that it has a 99% chance that it will fail. However, out of the 20 options you have, here is the priority which you should start with first, invest more. It is an outstanding artificial intelligence win in the industry. Again, COVID, it takes 8 years and close to $7 billion to come up with one drug. 8 years, $7 billion to come up with one drug. Give or take few, 2 to 3 years we're only going in regulatory affairs, the compliance checks and administrative work around it. All very important. But do you think we could have survived COVID if this was the time it was taking? Artificial intelligence was at its peak at that time in the entire discovery process. So research and development, I think it has completely embodied artificial intelligence. The challenge they face though is around, and well, it's not just their challenge, it's a general challenge, I believe. What's deterring AI at speed is the quality of data. That's an area which had been neglected for way too long in the past. But yeah, lots of things are changing there. So I'm hopeful. So R&D, once your drug is ready, it goes through a lot of regulatory clinical trials are happening. You have to do a lot of regulatory filing for that. This entire knowledge management is done through generative AI now. So imagine generative AI. It generates the output that you have asked it for. I will feed the data. It can generate the intelligence for me. Various analysis, various outcomes, the charts, etc. Similarly, if I have asked a question, it is able to study the data patterns and tell me the answer around it. Similarly, if I have input 10,000 pages of regulatory filings and asking for a 1,000 word paragraph, a summary, which goes for filing, it's going to do that. Earlier, which used to take days and days of several people writing it, editing it. So this is fantastic, in clinical trials, selection of the sample, how to avoid bias. These are brilliant things that AI has to offer. Moving on to commercial operations, you have to generate tender documents. You have to have order, intake management. A medical representative who's representing a particular type of treatment, tablet, medication, meeting a healthcare professional. What is it that he needs to talk about? What's the next best action that that medical rep has to take in order to be able to sell his drug to the healthcare professional? Earlier, it was all books over a period of time, sitting in some pretty computer in several files. But today, this is all very intelligent. You study the pattern of what are the previous conversations that has been had with the healthcare professional, what are the social conversations that healthcare professional or that body is talking about. You generate insights based on that, based on your personal knowledge bank of your drug. You are able to put compelling points forward, and then that's helping the commercial organizations, the sales and marketing, to be able to sell more effectively, run certain type of campaigns, and what return on investment they are generating. It's all done through artificial intelligence today, which was earlier a calculator, Excel sheet exercise, a hit and trial, which used to happen. It's very, very now orchestrated in very smart algorithms, which not only use structured data, but also unstructured social media data. Social listening is such a huge topic now. There are tons of comments about a particular drug available. What insights can you draw based on certain gender, based on certain region, based on certain age group? Everything is possible. The list is endless. I mean, my favorite is the supply chain one, where I gave you an example of the COVID time. Right now, the geopolitical, the tariff situation, there is a lot happening in the world. And the first thing it's putting pressure to is the supply chain. Supply chain resilience is a big area. The entire demand sensing, forecasting, dynamic inventory management, looking at your predictive maintenance patterns. This is all run on artificial intelligence. And then there is this entire finance and accounting. How can I pay my invoices not before time, not after time, because I want to keep control of my cash, but definitely in time, so that my vendor is not feeling the pinch of me being late. Likewise, how do I get my money fast? Is it in my best interest to offer a discount to be able to get my cash faster? Is that more profitable to my business? And these are the smart, intelligent decisions that AI and data science is helping our clients to make.
So, Aditya, regulatory functions are becoming more digital, yet more demanding, navigating different geographies, adapting to evolving standards. It seems like a constant dance. How's AI helping life sciences organizations not just manage, but master regulatory promise fulfillment?
So, Kaushik, about artificial intelligence in the regulatory affairs space, if we look at the reg affairs, why it exists, you need to be compliant to certain standards. Just like any great restaurant, to get a Michelin star, they have to meet a certain standards and then exceed in some. So it's very similar for regulatory affairs. That's the minimum standard and the practices you have to abide by, like the CMC practice, like the labeling of the medication, of the product, the life cycle management. It goes through several upgrades. So how you are able to manage the change, the publishing of ancillary documents, legalization and notarization support. And then, of course, the entire regulatory information and data management, data quality enrichment, migration, UAT, every change that you make, you have to have a compliant way of testing it. Where we are seeing artificial intelligence making a very strong play here is, for example, when you have huge literature requirement, the medical literature requirement. You have to create a dossier. Earlier, it used to, team of people used to spend days of reviewing, amending, updating, co-authoring. Now through generative AI, it has become so effective. You can customize it based on your own organization or your own industry's previous dossiers to meet a certain template, to meet certain standards. Based on how you have fed the system and trained the system, it can generate response exactly how you are expecting it to be. Earlier, which used to take anything between 2 weeks to several months, now it can be done literally, I would say 5 minutes of generation, and then maybe a couple of days or 3 days of human in the loop review, a final check. So that's brilliant. The content generation, the medical literature generation. Same goes with the life cycle management. There are certain events you have to track changes. You have to look at a lot of areas. For example, new market, you have to make a submission for that, or make any post-approval change management for site deletion or any other changes. Using artificial intelligence, they are able to trigger these events in your system so that and suggest what action needs to be taken. They are ready to take the action, but before taking it, they ask the human who's identified to validate, yes, take this action. Or maybe they identify, no, this time you have made a wrong assessment, and then you teach the bot again so that the AI bot is able to course correct for next time. So these are some great examples. We briefly talked about during a regulatory information system implementation, you have to go through rigorous testing. Those test scripts need to be written, data needs to be published for that. It's all done very similar to ChatGPT style. It generates the scenarios to be tested. On those scenarios, it will generate the test scripts, and in many cases test data as well, dummy data, for you to be able to do it. Earlier it used to take months of testing. You can literally do it quite fast. I wouldn't say a day or two, because you still want your end users to get their hands dirty to see if the system is doing what they want it to do. But it has really fast tracked the entire implementation journey as well.
Right, right. So, Aditya, what's one emerging AI innovation, maybe a capability you're working on or watching closely that you believe could be a game changer for the industry?
Kaushik, I think I wouldn't say that the inherent technology has changed, but now that it has evolved so fast, probably there is a traditional AI and there is a modern AI. And I'll explain where I'm coming from. Traditional AI was more about machine learning. It's predicting based on past performances. It was able to enhance vast amount, analyze vast amount of data to identify pattern and help with the prediction. Predictive AI, machine learning, study patterns of past behaviors, past trends, and able to predict the future. For example, it will help in a anomaly detection. My sales for a region for a particular drug has been very consistent, and therefore my predictability is in a very similar pattern. But what it was not able to do was study a real time change of macroeconomics, geopolitical tension, and therefore not course correct. That's why during COVID, we had a knee jerk reaction that the patterns were not read fast enough of COVID, and there was shortage of a lot of things. Tissue paper being one, and paracetamol being two, and cough syrup being three, things which were going off shelf very fast. And those traditional AI models were not able to read that pattern very fast, and therefore it was a knee jerk for a lot of pharma companies or retailers or consumer good companies. So that's more traditional AI. Then came generative AI. I think we extensively spoke about generative AI. So it is able to extract an information. It is able to create an information. You tell it what, based on your requirement, it can generate music. You give it a data, it can generate insight. You ask a question, it can generate a response based on the available information that it has. It can generate a photograph. So generative AI, it won't act on your behalf, but it will generate a response for you to review. However, where the game is changing now, which I think is a very prevalent name, but not a lot of people or not a lot of use cases are there in the market, agentic AI. It is making autonomous decision capability. Of course, the self-driving cars have been there in the past, but they are modeled around, agentic AI, where based on their environment, they make a decision to turn left or right, to brake or to speed, following the speed limit, following the shortest path to the desired destination based on traffic conditions or in any accidents it's been reported. That's what agentic AI is about. You are making autonomous decisions. It has the capability, it can transform, a task into a very different outcome based on, certain decisions that it can make, which a human will take a lot of time from multiple sources to go and review. For example, if I think of, what's an emerging example of that, supply chain, it's a art and a science, well, a data science, to do the entire planning, where you have to think about your raw material. Who are you buying it from? Where is that raw material going? Which manufacturing plant? Who's doing the contract manufacturing? Is it a CDMO who's working? Am I doing it in-house? Is there a contract manufacturing organization involved? So you make those decisions. And then shipping it to reach various destinations, your warehouses, from warehouses to retailers to the homes of people or the doctors. This entire cycle gets disrupted by just one global event which can happen overnight. And that takes then weeks of replanning to get it the supply chain routes to work again. This entire logistics planning can now be done through agentic solutions. Exactly how I talked about the autonomous driving, that's how the supply chain planning will happen. If my vendor who has to supply a raw material is in a conflict zone today, whose products are not able to come out of his country and are being shipped to mine, my AI system will tell me that, hey, you have an alternative sitting in XYZ country, and you should proactively renegotiate the contract with them in anticipation that this event may trigger the raw material of next batches not to reach you, so that you have reduced the inventory level from this partner, you have increased from the other partner, and you are proactively addressing the raw material reaching your manufacturing plant to avoid shutting the manufacturing plant or reducing the volumes of it, and then planning the entire logistics transportation route for it to reach the desired. These are the actions which earlier used to have very, very high human interventions, but now you don't have. If you have a very robust system, look, these are also developing. Like I said, agentic is new. It can be done without a human in the loop as well. The systems, the agents sitting on various systems talk to each other. In Genpact, we call it intersourcing of agents. Well, agentic agents.
Right. That's a great answer and a great example that you just shared with us. And what do you see as the biggest blocker when it comes to life sciences companies adopting AI or advanced tech? Is it technology or is it culture?
I'll say it with a pinch of salt, but that's true as well. Our industry, and I'm talking about life science, healthcare being our industry, is highly regulated, rightly so. Lots of lives are at stake. Then there are two, three things that comes to my mind, and I'll probably go one by one in no specific order. I think it's imperative that the governments, the bodies, the regulatory bodies, they think about artificial intelligence as not a deal breaker or a showstopper. It's an enabler. It needs to be treated like that. I think it's taking way too long, and it is too administrative and sometimes political. In the spirit of responsible AI, it's controlling, the pharma companies to be more innovative. I don't want to start the debate, and I've been part of a lot of them, and I can speak in favor of both sides and against both sides. I'm talking about the American pharma and their permission to use artificial intelligence versus European. Both have their merits and demerits. However, you cannot have the word responsible to stop the speed of innovation. So I think the regulators need to act fast, come up with a responsible model guideline, and then hold the pharma firms responsible to them. So that's, I think, one area. And I support the pharma organizations who are trying really hard, to come up with a cancer drug discovery, or menopause, or several Alzheimer's. I mean, it very recently I heard that it's expected that 1 in 3 people may have Alzheimer's and dementia, and these both are not very well researched and well treated ailments. So I think responsible AI, I'm all up for it. There is a need for speed. You need to start. You can't keep it as a deterrent. It's an enabler. Second is the quality of data. I think it's the backbone. Pharma firms and a lot of old and large organizations, especially who have grown through acquisitions or divestitures, they have neglected the quality of data. And end of the day, it's garbage in, garbage out. If the quality of data is poor, you won't be able to get into that level of customization, the tailored solution, and the artificial intelligent decision making algorithm needs. Data is the second. And then comes the change and adoption.
Yes.
It has certainly improved, but there is a lot that can be done. But uh, what I often see a lot of, and I follow, CEOs, CFOs, CIOs, from these large life science companies, including startups, mid segment, because they are really ambitious. And I love working with them as much as I do with the big pharmas. But the young and the hungry, the mid segment is really cool place to be right now. What I see them doing very often is they keep repeating the message of change that they want to bring, why it's important to follow a culture. And I think unless you see the top leaders doing it again and again and again, it's okay if you have said it in one town hall, say it in 10 more town halls till the time that message gets landed. I think that's how I believe the change will be driven. And I'm seeing a big change right now being driven in life science industry. And there is a recognition that consumer goods was ahead when it came to technology and data adoption. And as a result, I do see a lot of life science companies bringing in leaders from consumer goods industries who have been at the forefront of these changes, to drive them from retail industry, consumer goods industry, high tech type industries. It's the way of living. So yeah, it's time for a change, and I can see more agility being driven in pharma firms.
So, Aditya, for companies listening, whether startups or global giants trying to navigate this change, what advice would you offer to leaders who want to embrace AI but are unsure where to begin?
Yes, you can run a POC, a proof of concept, or a proof of technology here or there. But if you really are serious about AI, you need to relook at your technology architecture. And when I say relooking, there is an application layer, what type of applications you have in house, the prompt tuning, the fine tuning, so operating system and API layer, the AI generative model layer, the foundation models like ChatGPT 3, ChatGPT, tons of them which are there in the market, the model hubs, and then the entire data processing layer. Of course, best to have your data sitting in the cloud to make it more effective for you. Thinking about, then the team that you need. So technology is one. And for the technology to work effectively, it's a different skill set that you need. It's not just a data analyst who will review a lot of data and tell you an answer. You need data engineers to ensure the plumbing and the piping of the data is done correctly. And it's giving you clean and right output. Your prompt engineers. It's not about the answer. The quality of the answer will depend on the question you are asking. So you have to be precise, and for that you need good, effective, trained prompt engineers. the model developers, in fine tuning the data. I won't bore you to death on, the hallucination of data where you ask a question and the system literally starts to hallucinate, gives you an incorrect answer. So you need your model developers who are able to effectively look at the various models and the source where they are sitting in, the model hubs, Hugging Face, or is it GitHub? And then you need people trained to be able to work on them. Your machine learning, operations engineers, so working on your Azure platform, your AWS platform, Google Clouds, NVIDIA based infrastructure, or is it Google based, Cerebras, Amazon? So it may come across that, oh God, this is very expensive. It's not expensive. You can go selective, you can go small, but you need to have the right technology and the right people to do it. So that's number one, in my view. I think the second advice is make it, so think big, start small. It's fine. Don't say that I'm going to do 2, 3 POC and check the box that I've used AI in my work. Bring a business problem and then find a solution. Don't force fit the technology into what you're already probably not even having a problem statement. So you need to have a agile team of course, some of the talent that I talked about, but also business evangelists who understand business in and out, who understand the problem statement, who can work with the technology partners, and they have a business case to work with. The guardrails are set, and then they are working around it. So that's the second part. So technologist is one, having right business leads. Part of it is to working on a real business problem, not a force fitting technology into some business or type of work that democratize the entire access of these new gadgets. You look at Microsoft Copilot. A lot of organizations use Teams, emails, Microsoft Excel, PowerPoint. Uh, you have access to Copilot for free now. Of course, what your infrastructure allows, you should definitely, in a very secure way, provide access to, but democratize it. Don't keep it to a handful. Expose it to everyone. Propagate, communicate. You don't have to take, meeting notes for everything. Use the transcribe. Use secure chat GPT for your firm to then use that transcription file to generate the 100-word, what's the crux of the meeting, rather than, people taking notes, then typing it, and two people cross-checking it and then sending it. So democratize as much as you can. I'm going to say a little controversial thing, but do not let go of responsibility that you have of this AI, not only of your company's data, but your employee data and other intellectual property that you have. So just be careful about it, that you're not exposing it inadvertently in open forum, because once it's in open forum, it will always remain in the open forum. So 4 things from my side.
Right. Well, that's a very comprehensive list of guidance that you've shared with us, which is very insightful. Thank you. And finally, Aditya, for those inspired by today's conversation and eager to learn more, where can listeners follow your work and stay connected with what Genpact is building in this space?
Briefly mention about that 600 million worth of investment, and for a 5 billion company to invest more than 10% of its revenue in artificial intelligence, we are making great strides, and we do believe in democratizing AI. Do visit our website. Happy to post it as well. Do visit our website. I think you will see some of the cutting edge artificial intelligence case studies that we are driving right now. There will be a lot of customer testimonies that you will see there of the type of work we have done together and what type of impact it has generated. And not just from life science and healthcare clients, but manufacturing, high tech, and other banking industries as well. So it's important to learn from each other and not just within our industry. And Kaushik, you can always invite me back if there are specific questions
absolutely.
here. I'll be
host
more
you.
than happy to bring our life science and or artificial intelligence leaders to the podcast if there is interest that gets generated.
Absolutely. And that brings us to the end of our today's episode. Aditya, thank you so much for joining me and for sharing such valuable insights into how Genpact is not only navigating but truly shaping the future of life sciences. from the role of agentic AI in accelerating discovery to solving real regulatory and operational challenges, and most importantly, reimagining the patient experience. Today's conversation has been nothing short of an eye-opening, and it's clear that this is not just about technology, it's about leadership, it's about mindset, and it's about having the courage to embrace what's next, even when the path is uncertain. And to our listeners, I hope this episode has sparked new thinking, challenged assumptions, and maybe even inspired you to see how your own work fits into the bigger picture of transformation. We'll be back soon with more stories and conversations from the front lines of innovation in pharma, biotech, and healthcare. Until then, stay curious, stay connected, and thanks for tuning into Drug Diaries.